Hello, guys, wherever you are on this beautiful Saturday, building up to India's ODI series against Bangladesh. My name's Avnish Haide, watching cricket.com. We have two special men, in house experts in terms of the Agarwal brothers. One joining us from very own Bangalore, and Shub. How are we, Shub?
All good, man. Looking forward to go to office tomorrow after a big layoff. I mean, I was at home for 10, 12 days. So, yeah, looking forward to catch India play cricket with our in-house boys.
In house boys, indeed. Another in house boy is, of course, getting married soon, which is, of course, Somesh Agarwal, and he's back home in Bhopal. So, sorry for the introduction, but the fans of you all have to know how are we this evening?
कौन है भाई मेरा फैन कौन है पहले तो ये बताओ ये गलत फहमी कहाँ
Legit
से
सवाल, legit सवाल.
आई क्या यार
But
शुभ मैं ऑफिस नहीं जा रहा तो तू ऑफिस नहीं गया वाह यार मतलब इसको बोलते दोस्ती
There is no motivation at all, bro. I mean, you know, not many people are coming to office. Whoever is coming will leave by 3 or 4 because they are working on the Australia West Indies games. And I wake up at 12, so there is absolutely no point for me to go to office.
all right, jokes apart, gentlemen. Of course, there's lots to look forward to, like Shub just said, in terms of India cricket after a while. I know we played New Zealand not too long ago, but the big boys were saved for this series, in particular, Rohit, Virat, and all of them. I think Shikhar Dhawan and Shreyas Iyer and people like that will be playing the series despite them playing New Zealand not too long ago. We'll, of course, talk about lots of things India related because the road to the World Cup does start here. And of course, feel free in the comments below to let us know your thoughts and questions if you need to, of course, be answered by the boys. Now, Shub's put out a really good preview to this ODI series on the cricket.com website. You guys can check it out. And it talks to me basically about 5 things, which we'll probably dive deep in, ask you guys to get involved, like I said. I'll put it up for you guys if you're wondering what the 5 things we will talk throughout the course of this video. One is that India's opening slot. Is it straightforward as we all know it? Or is there going to be a surprise or two? Then there's going to be lots of eyes on Shreyas Iyer because let's make no mistake, he's been one of the shining lights of India cricket, ODIs at least. And then the all-rounder chat, the spin chat, and not to forget the Pacers as well. So, boys, where do we start? First and foremost, guys, let's just understand what the series will do in the larger scheme of things. I understand that India might be playing around 13 to 15 ODIs or something like that, including an Asia Cup before heading into the grand tournament next year. What are the expectations of this series? So I'll start with you.
yeah I mean it is not about the numbers because I mean number of matches because India played a lot of T20s going into the World Cup but then were they really prepared for the actual thing is I mean, we'll have varied opinions on that. So the number of ODIs that India will play up to the World Cup is irrelevant. I feel it depends on who India are playing because they are playing Bangladesh right now. Let's say they end up playing 8 or 9 of those games against West Indies and Sri Lanka, and including these games against Bangladesh. So I don't think India will learn a lot from those games. Ultimately, I mean, if we cut to the chase, the World Cup is gonna be about who can beat England.
Yeah.
Because I mean they are a pretty good T20 side, but they are magnificent ODI side. They're like miles ahead of everyone. So I mean it is not about all the what do you call it, the generic stuff of taking it one game at a time or whatnot. Ultimately, for any team who wishes to win the next World Cup, which is next year, the objective has to beat England.
Yeah, I think England, of course, saw very often that you see a side have both the World Cups in their kitty, and they have that. They're going to be defending the World Cup later on in India. And it's a good point to mention by Som. But Shub, just talk to me about this ODI series that we're going to be playing Bangladesh, right? I think many people are calling it already a dead rubber series and the fact that we'll blow them away and all of that. But do you think there are certain starters, there are a few things that India need to take? And what's the biggest headache going into this ODI World Cup starting in the series tomorrow?
Bro, if you talk about headaches, there are plenty because as you told our audience earlier that I wrote a series preview kind of a piece, shedding light on what India have, shedding light on how India shape up for the ODI World Cup, and I actually found out there are so many voids. I mean, it is crazy actually because I don't think there is enough time to fill all those holes. The biggest hole, according to me, is the spin bowling department because since 2019 World Cup happened, India have the second worst economy rate amongst all test playing nation and the third worst bowling average. So spinners are Indian spinners. They are neither stopping runs nor they are taking wickets, and it is a big headache. If you look at the options as well, I mean, Yuzvendra Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav, they have played throughout these last 2 3 years actually without causing much of an impact, and then the backups are not really great as well because Ashwin, I think we have seen the last of Ashwin in white ball cricket for a while, and if you look at other specialist spinners, there is Rahul Chahar and then Ravi Bishnoi. Rahul Chahar has played only 4 games. Ravi Bishnoi only one debut game. So there are no clear answers with a lot of questions which can be, if you look at the stats, you can see how dire the situation is for India in the spin bowling department. So yeah, I think you asked me a couple of things. I it enunciated a lot more on the headache stuff, but that headache stuff is actually a pretty big issue for the Indian team right now.
Because there is no Yuzvendra Chahal playing this Bangladesh series. Remember, there's Kuldeep Yadav. I think there's Ashwin.
Kuldeep is also not there actually because in this team there is not a single wrist spin option. There are 3 spinners basically. Akshat Patel, Shahbaz Ahmed, and Washington Sundar. So we are seeing a completely new crop of Indian spinners who will be playing in this Bangladesh series, and that is where the significance increases in this series basically because you are going to see a new trio of spinners and how they work out against Bangladeshi batters who are actually pretty good in terms of playing spin bowling themselves. So I think that is one interesting thing to work out for in this 3-match ODI series in Bangladesh.
Yeah, let's see how it all pans out. So, if I have to really put you on the spot right now, is it a guarantee or a sure shot if you're a Yuzvendra Chahal fan or part of his entourage that that man will start in ODI cricket, or do you think there are people breathing down his neck?
I mean, one has to feel for Yuzvendra Chahal. He has been part of this Indian team for a very long time and has just one World Cup to show for it. But the reality of the situation is that he is at this point not a sure shot certainty. And again, it comes back to the point that India and any team for that matter now need players who contribute at multiple facets. And as much as a surprise this is that India have not gone with any wrist spinners 10 months before the World Cup going into a ODI series, this just tells us that there are not many pace bowling options who can bat. The only all-rounders that India can find are who are spinners. So, I mean, India are actually looking at a reality where they'll have to pick spinners based on their ability to bat. Because if you look at the pace bowling options, I think Bumrah is a certainty if he's fit, and others as well. At least the ones that India would want to keep as a part of their pace bowling unit can't bat. Because up till this point, India have experimented with Shardul Thakur as the fifth bowling option, but he has been the least economical bowler in the history of ODI cricket based on the amount of cricket that he's played. And he's not a fifth bowling option in this format. I mean, India were kidding themselves by going down that route. So they have now realized that that is not a fix that they can have. The other alternate is maybe Deepak Chahar, but fitness, pace, if ball is not swinging, does he have enough to make a difference? So all these questions again bring us back to a point on Chahal that because he can't bat, he might struggle to play another World Cup for India.
And let's be honest, guys. I think the only reason Yuzvendra Chahal missed out playing any part of this World Cup, the T20 World Cup, it was probably because that he couldn't bat that much, and India went in with Ashwin.
Yeah. But again, honestly, his bowling has not been very impressive as well. It's not like he has been, whenever he's given a chance, he has set the stage on fire with the ball. So that goes against him as well, because if he would have been picking regular wickets or at least stopping runs either way, there could have been an option of them at least thinking that he's doing one thing right. So now he's not a bankable bowler. Plus he can't bat and he's not a great fielder. So there are too many question marks on why he should be in the 11.
Yeah, okay. And Shub, before you have your say, I want to, of course, show you some stats, which is part of your preview, and you can talk to me more about this. This one first, which of course talks about India's spinners home and away since the last World Cup. And what really puzzles you here? I mean, you talk to me through this graphic, please.
I cannot explain you this graphic actually because I don't know what went wrong. That Indian spinners, I mean, we all know 40 and a bowling average of 40 isn't really good. But if you are, the striking point about this graphic is that our bowling average at home is worse than our bowling average away. I mean, though the difference is only slight, but both on bowling average and economy rate front, we are lagging at home, which is, which is the really
And normally you would like to see the Indian spinners thrive at home, but it's kind of shocking here
that
because
is
even the
that
economy
is
rate
what
is close to run a ball.
that is what should have happened. And in case the our numbers at home were better, we could have thought, okay, we can go with a Chahal or a Kuldeep because the World Cup is in India and they might do well in the Indian conditions. But this number actually again shows you why I was stressing upon that part, that the headache in the spin department is a lot bigger, because if
Yeah.
your prime spinners are not delivering in the home conditions as well, then how are you going to take the home advantage of hosting the World Cup? So I mean, I cannot explain why the numbers are like that, but it just shows that India need to fix the spin bowling department big time.
There's another piece of
And
information here from the specialist spinner, Som, and you can have your say in this. Is this a cause of concern? You look at Kuldeep's numbers, Yuzvendra's numbers. Of course, the others include R. Ashwin, Rahul Chahar, Ravi Vishnu, and Jayant Yadav. I mean, is this pretty much 6 or 7 guys that we can pick from who are not been in red hot form?
so this is where Ravi Vishnu's exclusion is surprising, right? I mean, if you have to think of the bowler other than Yuzvendra Chahal, who's a wrist spinner who's been marginally impactful within this bunch, he's Ravi Bishnoi. And I mean, it's so surprising that in 2 series back to back, just after the World Cup, he was in the reserves. And I'm talking about the World Cup because India are still looking T20 and 50 over as wide ball formats. So, I mean, a person who was part of reserves without even playing a single game is now just out of the squad after the World Cup. So it just doesn't make sense to me, as have not, and just like a lot of other things with Indian cricket at the moment, his exclusion doesn't make sense to me. Having said that, I mean, I think it is very difficult to talk about all these roles in silos. What India really need to do first is identify a philosophy. I mean, how do they want to play a game? Like, for example, right now, if you look at it, England have a proper ideology that they want to have. They want to build a batting heavy team. Pakistan have an ideology that they want to have a bowling heavy team. But what is India's ideology? I mean, India like इस सीरीज में ये कर लेते हैं, अगली सीरीज में चलो ये ट्राई कर लेते हैं, उसके बाद ऐसा कर लेते हैं. मतलब there is no fix approach of India's cricket. I mean, the only approach that they have is be conservative up top and then बाद में score, which is like outdated. So, and India do not, I mean, even if they play, pick whoever you want. I mean, India will never get enough. India won't have bowlers to defend a par total, and all the batters inevitably just target the par score. So this mindset needs to change, and we need to figure out that it is not just about picking individuals. It's not like Yuzvendra will just win you the World Cup on his own. India have to accept that given the resources, the bowling is never going to be that strong. I mean, at least not as strong as some of the other sides. So batters have to compensate. So I feel this gulf is has not been solved even after no matter India would have played in different captains, different coaches, but this gulf between what batters think and what bowlers actually can deliver, this gulf still remains.
And that is probably going to be a turning point at some point of time in the next 13 to 15 ODIs that we see. But hopefully from the Bangladesh series, we get some sort of takeaways. Now, we discussed the spinners. Soms mentioned the pacers there as well, which we'll get on in a bit, and we'll show you the numbers of all the pacers that we've spoken about. But I want to, of course, start from up top in terms of India's opening spot, right? I've been harping upon this. All these watch-alongs, all you guys who follow me would know that I think India will still go in with Shikhar, Rohit, and Virat in their top three, no matter what happens. I know people are saying Shikhar Dhawan's strike rate has been baffling. Some people are defending Dhawan, saying he was a captain at that moment in time, so he was more circumspect, more conservative, and he wasn't the true Dhawan. I don't buy into that, but those three, because it's in India, it's the last 3 World Cups. Do you think there's a change in that top 3? Do you think Shubman Gill has done enough to displace one of those top 3, dare I say? Shub?
I think he has so far, but I don't see. I mean, just knowing how Indian cricket operates, I don't see that happen. I don't. I can right now. I can see that the Indian team actually wants to open with Dhawan and Rohit Sharma, and I think okay, that is fine. But I'm just their powers are waning. Actually, that is what I feel. Dhawan's strike rate is 75.5 this year for 670 runs, and that is his lowest strike rate in a calendar year since 2011. I mean, that is his lowest strike rate since more than 10 years, actually, which actually tells you a lot of the story. And then Rohit Sharma.
But is that so? But with Dhawan, is that because, like I said, he was captain the side, so he had that added pressure, and he
No,
was
that
the second
actually,
fiddle?
first of all, that does not make sense. He should not be doing that. He's the captain, but he's the opener as well. So he has a lot of time to, even if he's starting slow, then he has a lot of time to catch up. First of all, and the second thing is we know Dhawan as a person as well, right? I mean, he's someone who does not like to take any pressure. He keeps talking about being calm and composed and just living your life freestyle. So yeah, I don't buy into that it is the captaincy pressure that has affected Shikhar Dhawan's strike rate. We can actually see that he is trying to play a lot more shots without the timing, without the gap finding that we used to see from him. So that is why, just observing his batting style of late, I feel that Shikhar Dhawan's powers are waning, and the same goes with Rohit Sharma as well. Though his strike rate is fine, but he averages around 39 since 2021. The average is also fine, though the sample size is of only 12 games. But I all of us have seen a lot of Rohit Sharma in T20 cricket this year, and though it is a different format, I agree, but there is some overlap as well. And based on that overlap, whatever I've seen of him, Rohit Sharma is not in the best of shape as well. Not talking physically, I'm just saying that in terms of his timing and all that stuff as well. So that is where I feel Rohit Sharma should be under some pressure as well. And yeah, if he opens for India in the World Cup just because he's the captain, then it is the same old story actually, that you are prioritizing reputation over the current form, which should not happen, especially after watching what we have
But,
seen in this
but that's
World
what's going to happen. Let's face it, because they made some sentimental calls. I feel really bad for someone like Shubman Gill, who's done all that he could do in ODI cricket. I mean, we talk about left and right combinations. Is that another factor which probably makes Shubman Gill as a backup opener in this 15-man squad? Dare I say?
First of all, he's not
See,
in this 15-man squad.
I mean, in the World Cup, when they eventually picked this World Cup squad.
Maybe, yeah.
see, I always, I mean, I don't usually appreciate when people say that they feel bad for so and so, because I mean, at the end of the day, everyone is a professional. But if you have to feel bad for anyone in Indian cricket, it has to be Sanju Samson. So I mean, after that, there is a big gulf, and then you can feel bad for whoever you want to feel bad about. So
Yeah, I agree.
I think, see, we all know how Indian cricket works, and they will make those emotional calls. Will that be a right call or not? Only time will tell. Uh, I just loathe to just think of the possibility of both Shikhar and Rohit misfiring in series to come, because I feel that then India won't have enough time to just find a proper. Then obviously they'll just take uh, both of these into the World Cup. Having said that, I feel Rohit. I sort of have slightly more trust in Rohit at this point of time, because I mean, 12 months back he was dominating Test cricket, right? I mean, and so he has the technique and everything. I think his T20 game suffered because he took over the role of being a Sunil Narayan with the bat, which he doesn't really have to do in ODIs. So see, there is a fair chance that Rohit's ill form in T20 might well carry on for ODIs, but I would still like to see him for like 5 to 6 games before making a call. But Dhawan, I feel, I don't know. I mean, he's started having a slow start recently, which is troubling, because initially, I mean, Indian openers were always starting slow, but not this slow. They were 50 odd after 14 overs in that New Zealand ODIs when they went on to score 306. I mean, after 14 overs, you can't be 54 for no loss. I mean, it's like you're setting yourself up for a below par total. I mean, who would have who can actually think that Washington Sundar will go and play a blinder? That's just asking too much of your lower order. So this is what is troubling me. My I would want to still trust Dhawan only because he's a lefty. Because if you think about it, if you with Pant's form and Dhawan's form, if you drop these two, only players you are left with to fill those spots are righties, and again you go in with the possibility of having a top six all right-handers, which again is not ideal.
So Dhawan gets the benefit of the doubt because he's left-handed.
At least to begin with, but I would like to give him just at least this Bangladesh series and then take a call. Which anyway he will get. He will get to play all these, but let's just keep the judgment to rest until then.
Okay, you said you'd like to see Rohit and Shikhar do well. Shubh, I'll just come to you. I just want to get Som's perspective on this. If they have stinkers in terms of not just Bangladesh series, but the ODI series which follows next year, is that something that they will probably think 6 months before the World Cup and be like, look, Shubman Gill's been really thriving in this format. We can't pick players by reputation, but they won't do that, would they? So,
you know what the sad part is? I firmly believe that if they decide to replace Shikhar Dhawan, they'll have KL Rahul opening, which again would be a regressive move because since 2019 World Cup, whoever is open for India, no one has had a lower strike rate as an opener than KL Rahul. Yeah. So, I mean, at this point of time, I feel KL Rahul is that DK kind of a player. If you give him a lot of time, then he will have a lot of decisions to make, and no matter how he rates his temperament, I don't rate his temperament to make correct decisions. I mean, KL Rahul is best when he has to make no decisions. That is when he comes in, when it's just like the last 10-15 overs, go after it. You don't have to think a lot. And not thinking a lot, KL Rahul is way better than thinking KL Rahul.
I don't know how they're going to approach it with KL Rahul. I think he might be fixed in that number 5 because the numbers suggest that he thrives, at least in the 50-over format, at number 5. But it could be a good shot, the fact that if Dhawan doesn't fire, someone like Ishan Kishan might be, feeling tragic out there and be like, why the fuck are you guys not mentioning my name? Sorry for the explicits. But
then where was he in New Zealand? I don't think he's in the Bangladesh squad as well. So, I mean, if he is in the... Is he? He is. Or
he is in the Bangladesh squad.
Bangladesh squad.
Yeah. So he's...
Avnish,
no, he's not in the Bangladesh squad, is he? No, I don't think he is.
Sorry, what?
Oh, he is.
He is, right, yeah. But
इतने चॉप एंड चेंज होते हैं ना कि अब पता नहीं होता कि कौन स्क्वाड में है कौन नहीं.
No, he is.
इतने मैचेस होते हैं और इतने चॉप एंड चेंजेस होते हैं that it is actually impossible to keep track of everything. By the way, Avnish, you were asking me that has Shubman Gill done enough to get a spot in the World Cup team? I think the only thing that the team management can ask from him is if he can bat left-handed so that he can displace Shikhar. So there is nothing else left.
Can he play switch hit? इंडिया में कोई भी खेलता है switch hit.
Virat Kohli tries to, and then whenever he does, maybe De Villiers gives him a appreciation tweet, but he's not really good at it. But KL Rahul can play that shot actually, but just that, as you said, he's thinking a lot nowadays, and thinking KL Rahul is not as good as the non-thinking KL Rahul.
Okay, guys, so let's see how it all unravels in terms of that top 3. I think it's fair to say that Dhawan, Rohit and Kohli will start, but I want to get your 11s before we wrap up later on in the show, and we'll of course take the comments coming through as well. Let's move on to a very contentious topic then. India's number 4 at this World Cup. We saw what happened in the 2019 World Cup with that Raidu saga and all of that. This time, all eyes on Shreyas Iyer, and rightly so, and he, of course, is a spin basher, call him whatever you want. Shubh, I'll start with you here and then we'll get Som's opinions. And I will start with the graphic because batters versus spin in ODIs, the one in red over there, standing tall about everyone, is Shreyas Iyer. His numbers have been great. I think he has even the highest score for an Indian batsman in ODI cricket since the 2019 World Cup, 113 in that against South Africa. Is Shreyas done enough to make a spot in the starting 11, let alone in that squad? Shubh?
He definitely has. I mean, at number 4, you want, knowing the World Cup will be in India, at number 4, you want someone who can play spin well. Shreyas Iyer just does not play spin well. He belts it. So, I mean, if you can see this graphic, it tells you a few things. He's the since 2019 World Cup, he's the only batter in world cricket amongst those who have scored over 400 runs against Spain to have a strike rate of over 100. No one else has a strike rate of over 100. And
Yeah.
then in terms of average as well, there are one, two, three, four, five, only five, only six players who are better who better his average as well. I mean, that shows you that. He is one of the best players of spin bowling, so he should be one of the first names on the sheet at number 4. He has one weakness, short ball, but somehow he manages to circumvent it. And yeah, I mean, simple answer: yes, he has done enough. His name should be indelible at number 4. But again, let's see what happens with him.
So, do you agree? I mean, I know many people are saying that number 4 has a lot of contenders for that role. Suryakumar Yadav is, of course, doing things that we haven't seen guys do out there in the cricket field in terms of T20 cricket, at least. I don't know he's been able to translate that form in ODI cricket, and the numbers don't suggest so. Then you have people like Rishabh Pant, because you'll want that left-hander, right-hander, even though we have Dhawan there. Then you probably have someone like even Sanju Samson, if that's maybe a position too high for him. And then you have all the other batsmen that we have in our country, which is quite ridiculous. So how do you see that number 4 panning out? Is it Shreyas Iyer first, and then you have replacements after him, or do you see Sky making a late burst into the 11?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, I would have at this point of time, Shreyas Iyer is my number 4 ahead of all the names that you've mentioned that include uh, Pant, Sky, Samson. I mean, we will talk about Pant and all when we come to number 5. But right now, at this point of time, Shreyas Iyer at 4 should be a fix. And 10 months before the World Cup, I think India should actually nail it down, give him all the games, and keep playing him because his game against spin is impeccable. And as ironic that as it sounds, there are not a lot of players in the 11 whose game against spin is top notch. So and 10 months later, India would need a good batter of spin in the middle overs. And that short ball weakness that everyone talks about, I don't think that will come so much into picture in this World Cup. He does have to work on it, and he will have to work on it if he wants to, succeed in other formats. But as of now in ODIs, he's done remarkably well. So,
But is that because is this the best suited format for him? We keep talking about Shubman Gill and him liking 50-over cricket, but it gives him a little bit of time to bide himself. Is it the same mold of Shreyas Iyer? Can we say the same thing?
I mean, does it apply to every Indian white ball player? I mean, all of them I think are more suited for ODIs than T20. At least the batters are. There are, I think, apart from Suryakumar Yadav, everyone is tailor made for ODIs and still learning to play T20s, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay. Interesting points. Maybe we'll talk about that number 5 position because there are lots of people vying for that spot too, even though many people think KL Rahul is a front runner for that role. Who else fits the bill in that number 5 position? Is it Pant, Samson? I know Pandya will probably bat at 6, and then you're maybe going to slot in Jadeja and Washington as we go along. But at number 5, KL Rahul, I think it's a 70% lock in unless he has terrible form, right, Shub?
KL Rahul is, I think, I mean, he cemented his spot at number 5 in this ODI team, but that was almost 2 years ago, January 2021, when England came to India. Since then, he has hardly played in the middle order, and we have seen that how his T20 form at the top of the order has also went down the hill as well. So I think KL Rahul has blurred the situation around him himself in the ODI games that he got in the few ODI games that he has played in the last 12 months or so. He should have batted at number 5 instead of shifting himself to open just because the spot was available. But that being said, yeah, KL Rahul is the front runner right now, but there are two other competitors as well, Rishabh Pant and Sanju Samson. Sanju Samson is the last in the queue. Rishabh Pant will get a chance first because he's a left-hander as well, and you do need a left-hander in the middle. We all saw it during the World Cup as well that India actually missed the left-hander in the middle. So yeah, KL Rahul currently is the front runner, but he cannot take that spot for granted. Having said that, there could be a situation where India drops Shikhar Dhawan from their side and KL Rahul is promoted to an opener who does not keep, and then Rishabh Pant can slot in at number 5. So yeah, that is the situation around that number 5 spot according to me.
It almost seems like that number 5 spot, at least in this format, so is that it's a wicket keeping spot, right? At least for India. So it's a shootout between KL,
Absolutely.
Pant, and Samson. If you were the Indian selectors and you're penciling in a name right now, I know it's a far away, and hypothetically, I'm asking this question: is KL Rahul your front runner or Pant?
At this point of time, yes. At this point of time, yes. See, what I'll do is, I mean, obviously, if I'm if I am the decision maker there, and we'd come to the 11 later. But if even if India have Pant in the playing 11 tomorrow, I think if India are far-sighted, they should hand over the gloves to KL Rahul, because there might be a situation where India will inevitably have to have KL Rahul as a wicketkeeper, because unless they drop Dhawan and have KL open, that is where the number 5 spot opens up for either Rishabh Pant or Sanju Samson. I'm not ruling Sanju Samson out till the very end.
Yeah.
So, and if that doesn't happen, and if Dhawan, Rohit, Virat, Shreyas Iyer is your top 4, your 6 is Hardik, and so on and so forth. So 5th has to be a wicketkeeper. And if KL, he's done well at 5, he's the strokes, he has the form. You can't just keep picking Pant for the sake of picking a left-hander, because that has to stop at some point of time, because this is getting ridiculous. He's actually gifting his wicket away through similar dismissals every time, and no matter what, I mean, you can't improve in directly playing international cricket. He has to do something else. He has to go back to nets or whatever. I mean, whatever cricketers do at this point of time. But the practical step would be to have KL keeping wickets, even if other keepers are playing.
Okay, let's see if that is, of course, India's plan for the World Cup, because it beckons the question even more, whether it's a right-hander, left-hander, Pant, and all of that. Let's move slightly lower down the order before we get into the Pacers and all of that, because the important point that Shub has also mentioned in his preview is India's spin bowling all-rounder. And there are quite a few contenders for that. There's Ravindra Jadeja, which initially pops up. Washington Sundar, we saw him do a world of good for his confidence and Team India going ahead in this ODI format. And then you have newbies. I say newbies in terms of Shahbaz Ahmed and all of them. Who do you guys think is going to be picked? Is it 2 of them, dare I say? Is there a chance where there could be Jadeja and Sundar Som?
So, I mean, do you want to talk about tomorrow's 11 first? Because, I mean, up till now, we were discussing about things from the World Cup lens.
We can.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, my 11 for tomorrow is slightly straightforward. Dhawan, Rohit, Kohli, Iyer. These are top 4. KL at 5, Pant at 6. Either or, I mean, you can miss. And 7th would be Akshar or Washington. I think Washington definitely, it seems like a better batter than Akshar. So Washington, then Akshar at 8. 9 would be Deepak Chahar, and Umran Malik and Mohammad Siraj would be the 11. I would want India to play only 5 bowlers, because see, Hardik is a certainty, because when Hardik walks in at 6, you will have 6 bowlers. But up till that point of time, they should not focus on winning these bilaterals. Play 5 bowlers, put pressure on the 5 bowlers, and ask them to win games on their own rather than relying for a 6th bowling option.
Okay, interesting calls there.
And
essentially, you're not playing Shahbaz Ahmed and you're leaving out Kuldeep Sen and Shardul Thakur, which is understandable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shub, I mean, we'll talk about the Pacers in a bit, but just give me your 11 for tomorrow now that Som has. Any sort of differences, any arguments there, or do you think he's bang on?
I couldn't catch on the Pacers that Somesh mentioned, but yeah, my top 5 are the same. 6 Rishabh Pant, yes. 7 Washington, 8 Akshar Patel. Now we come to the 3 Pacers for tomorrow. Deepak Chahar at number 9, which I think I mean, if Deepak Chahar is at number 9, that means your batting depth is secured, so you don't have to worry on that part. Number 10 would be Mohammad Siraj. Number 11 would be Umran Malik, if he has reached Bangladesh in time and he is fit to play, then my number Umran Malik will be my number 11, and that is my 11 there.
Is there?
Sorry, guys, my network went a bit off. Is his 11 same as mine, or is there any change?
I mean, you guys are Agarwals for a reason, so it was pretty much synergy all the way throughout.
Yeah, I mean, if India batting at 9, I would.
5 bowlers. You guys are fine with 5 bowlers, because that could bite us in the backside, right? Or not?
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, everyone should take losses in these bilateral series if India are better prepared for the World Cup, right? I mean, no point winning these bilateral series if you're not going to prepare your bowlers and your players for the World Cup. I mean, what's the? I mean, Hardik is going to walk in when the World Cup is around. You'll have your sixth bowler. Right now, just put extra pressure on everyone to deliver. And at least when India will bat with field nine batters, at least openers won't have any excuse to play conservatively. If you have Deepak Chahar at 9 and still India are 50 odd after 15 overs, then you have to take your openers and ask them to just no, enough is enough. You guys don't belong. I mean, in this day and age, yeah.
No, I'm just saying.
Sorry.
I like the fact that you batted Deepak Chahar at 9, and I've always been of the belief that have like an extended sort of batting depth. But India they could end up 320 for 4, for example. They're never going to kind of reach 360 because they'll never want to put themselves in a situation like that, which makes your team Yeah, go on.
So this is where I talk about ideology and philosophy, right? They have to first figure that out and fix it. That this is the way we want to play cricket, or else then pick bowlers who are good bowlers. Then you don't have to pick spinners who can bat. Then just play 6 batters, bat conservatively. Then pick 5 proper bowlers who are wicket takers. You can't be in both boats, right?
And Avnish, I would like to ask you that if you want a 6 bowling option in this 11 that we have mentioned, Shabaz Ahmed is the only option who can bat at number 6. But then who do you bench in that top 6 that we have mentioned right now? I think everyone, Rishabh Pant, just because it's easier said than done, right? But yeah, I feel
I'm not being a Rishabh Pant hater of any sense, but like because KL will have to kind of spend some time in that number 5, because Rohit and Shikhar and Virat would obviously be the top 3, and then Shreyas at 4. The only possible thing that I think people like what they did with Sanju Samson essentially in New Zealand, they dropped him for Deepak Hooda. They played him in that first ODI. He didn't do anything wrong. It's just that India just didn't have a good day with the ball, and they were pointing fingers ultimately at Sanju. So by that regard,
there are 2 reasons why I can. Why I don't agree with you. First is that ODI are actually Punk's stronger. So yes, he did not do well in New Zealand, but I actually back him to do well in Bangladesh at number 6. And yeah, just because this is a stronger suit, so I think he deserves an extended run at least in this format. Plus, I don't think I feel India has more to gain with Rishabh Pant at 6 rather than Shahbaz Ahmed at 6 in this 11. Just first of all, it would put more pressure on the 5 bowlers that we have to do better, and also if Rishabh Pant clicks, which India desperately want him to click right now, so that they can have a left-hander in form in their wide ball side. So yeah, that is why I feel there is more upside to continuing with Rishabh Pant at number 6 than Shahbaz Ahmed, just for the sake of a 6 bowling option.
Because all eyes will be focusing on Rishabh Pant. So is it fair to say that bench Iyer, because we anyway know he's like great at number 4, play Pant there and then play an extra guy who can bowl and bat, or no?
But I mean, this just doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, this is because you are scoring runs, you are in good form. मत खेलो तुम, ये बंदा रन नहीं बना रहा, 60-65 मैच हो गए, इसको और 3 मैच देके देखते हैं तुम्हारी जगह पर. It just doesn't make sense, right? It's totally unfair on Iyer.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I think India really messed up by not picking Sanju Samson in this particular series, because I mean, if you talk about logic of players playing continuous cricket, even Rishabh Pant is playing continuous cricket, right? And he is India's, if I may say, number 1 test batter at the moment.
Yeah,
I truly believe Rishabh Pant is India's number 1 test batter at the moment. You need him for the 2 tests against Bangladesh and Australia. So, I mean, why not play Samson in this series if he's in the scheme of things, right? And this is a team which has Shikhar Dhawan at the top. You have Sundar and Aksar, who are lefties. If you want to make a combination of lefties righties, you have 3 good options to make it. And Samson batting at 6 would be a lot more sort of a player batting at a proper position than Pant batting at 6, because Pant is not a number 6 batter. So This is again, I mean, I don't know who's taking these calls, but you can just figure out the frustration in my voice that a lot of things with Indian cricket has not been making sense for a while.
Yeah, I mean, and understandable. I mean, you're kind of looking at it from not just a cricket
And
analyst.
even Pant himself was frustrated that by time ka hai, downtime ka hai. He's asked. I mean, he has been found out. Every bowler is just bowling short and wide to him because they know that he
He will
doesn't
try
have
to
any other
back.
shot than just to try. Yeah, so I mean, you have to give him downtime to just go and fix it.
Hopefully, this Bangladesh series serves as an addition. I'll tell you what, it serves as an addition for the bowlers in particular because three of them who potentially might start that World Cup are not even featuring in this series. I'm talking about Bumrah, who's injured, of course. Arshdeep is rested because he plied his trade in New Zealand, and Mohammad Shami got injured as well. So those three, I think many people reckon that they might start the World Cup. But tomorrow, out of the ODIs that you've heard from the boys in their 11, Umran, Siraj, and Deepak Chahar. Where are they in the pecking order in terms of Pacers? And that'll move me on nicely to the Pacers chat. So we can start with you and then we can go to Shub.
So let me plug in the charger first. So are we talking about the World Cup lens now?
World Cup lens, yes, because even if you look at this series, like I said, it's probably a shootout between Siraj, Umran, and Deepak Chahar to make that 15, let alone all the reserves and all of that. So do you see any of them
Yeah, I mean,
playing the starting 11 or no for the World Cup?
I definitely do see Siraj and Deepak Chahar in contention. Siraj because of his ability, and Chahar more of the fact that he can bowl.
Yeah.
Others, I'm doubtful because, in my opinion, Bumrah,
That he can
fit
bat,
Bumrah
you mean?
walks in.
He can
Obviously,
bat.
it is not just my opinion. Everyone's opinion that a fit Bumrah walks in. I feel Arshdeep would be there because having a lefty and lefty of his ability to swing the ball both ways is very valuable, and we saw what he did to Babar Rizwan in that game. So,
And Shami.
see, this is
Shami?
where I mean you lose me. Yeah, now you're thinking like an Indian selector.
No, is
So
it like
we all know
at least the hue and cry on Twitter, at least, and what I've been seeing is that, oh, Shami is like perfect for this format. He's proved himself. Do you agree with that thought, or do you think, no, the ship has sailed?
True, but again, I mean, the point is he's not fit right now, so he'll miss this series. Then again, you don't know about his fitness. See, inevitably, Shami will walk into the 15, no matter even if he doesn't play any ODI from now till the World Cup, he will be in the 15, is what I think, because of his reputation and because India will chop and change pacers to an extent that you won't even realize that who stands out. Before the series, there was Prasidh Krishna who was playing every ODI series. He's nowhere to be seen right now. There is Siraj in the mix, and like I said, you can't drop Bumrah and Arshdeep. India sort of carry Shardul Thakur around because he can bat, because there is no chance India carry Shardul Thakur because of his bowling ability.
Yeah.
And then there is Deepak Chahar, who is essentially a replacement for Bhuvneshwar Kumar.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, there is only one vacant spot. I mean, now you can pick Siraj, Shami, Deepak Chahar, whoever. What I feel is that if India are not playing Chahal and are playing spinners who are all-rounders, then India can actually play Mohammad Siraj at 9, who's a proper bowler and doesn't really rely on just swing like Deepak Chahar. But if India are playing Chahal, that means your 9, 10, 11 are Chahal, Arshdeep and Bumrah, then India will have to play Deepak Chahar at 8.
See, my biggest concern is what's the template, because it's in India. It's a 50-over format. We know that. Hardik Pandya, I don't know whether he'll give you 10 overs every match, but he's an extra pacer that you need to consider. And the names that you mentioned, Bumrah, Arshdeep, and potentially Siraj / Shami / Deepak Chahar, I agree with that. But do you think there is merit to play 4 pacers, essentially? Sure, so?
4 pacers, including when the fourth one is Hardik Pandya, then it is fine, I guess. I think that leaves us with 3 spots for pacers. One eventually goes to Jasprit, just because he is Jasprit Bumrah, and then then you think about your fast bowling all-rounder at number 8. There are 3 options: Chahar, Shardul Thakur, and Bhuvneshwar Kumar. And I don't think Shardul Thakur is really good enough as Somesh himself said he can't be your fifth bowling option. So then we comes to a battle between Chahar and Bhuvi, and Bhuvi's best days are behind him, according to me. Also, we don't know how his fitness will fare for an ODI World Cup where you have to bowl 10 overs in a day. So that actually makes Deepak Chahar your best bet. But again, he also has fitness issues. I think if Chahar back holds up and he continues what he is doing right now, I think he's a lock in at number 8. And then comes then you come to the second specialist, seamer, which is a spot open for traps right now. There are plenty of options. Arshdeep Singh, Umran Malik, Mohammad Siraj. These three should be the front runners. I feel Prasidh Krishna is also in the mix. I think he's nowhere to be seen because he's injured right now. That's the case with him always. So yeah, there are four options for that one spot. And yeah, I feel the other spots would be taken by Bumrah, Hardik Pandya, and Deepak Chahar.
Okay, we'll show
Actually,
you some because look,
yeah,
you guys have
actually,
mentioned
you make a good point.
all these plethora of
Oh,
names
sorry,
that
go ahead.
no, it's fine. It's fine. So basically, talk to me about this. I mean, any evidence which suggests that look at Shardul Thakur. Actually, he's top of the pops in terms of wickets, but he's also played the most games in terms of
No,
this format.
he has bowled the most overs, 175.4, and that is 42 overs more than Jasprit Bumrah himself. I think the only thing that this graphic shows is that India really did not bother about ODI cricket at all. They were
Yeah.
always resting their main seamers, which is understandable, or most of them were injured, and Shardul Thakur keep getting in just because he could bat, and he just keeps getting into the 11. He kept getting whacked. 175.4 overs, economy of 6.5, and his overall ODI economy is the worst amongst in the history of Indian ODI cricket amongst bowlers who have bowled more than 100 overs, including Virat Kohli himself. Virat Kohli's economy is 6.2. Shardul Thakur goes above at 6.5. So, I mean, that one stat tells you that how expensive Shardul Thakur is. Yes, he can pick wickets, but he concedes runs at such a pace that it creates pressure on everyone else in the bowling lineup. And if you're picking him just because he could bat, I don't think his batting returns have been good too. So, yeah, I mean,
So yeah,
yeah,
I'm
so
pretty
go.
sure that in this period, he has bowled more overs than the number of balls he's faced. I have to check, but I'm pretty sure that he wouldn't have faced 175 balls. Then what's the point of picking him as if he can bat if he's not even facing enough balls? Which is why I keep saying that batters have not bought this philosophy of batting deep, so we'll be that aggressive.
It wouldn't really surprise me if the World Cup is tomorrow, which I know it isn't. But if Bhuvi, Shami, and Bumrah are the pacers, I mean that'll really put together lots of pigeons because they're just going to be sticking to the tried and tested. Let's see how the boys fare in terms of making their World Cup 11s right now because we're just winding up this particular podcast. We'll term it as that.
I just want to say
But
one thing.
Oh,
So
I love how
go
both
on
you guys want to
first.
say something. Yeah,
So
go on.
can go first.
Yeah, so go first.
no, actually, Avnish, you made a point earlier, which is a very good point, actually. So India don't really have to pick three pacers plus Hardik. So that number 9 can be either Siraj or Chahal. Your 7 will be Jadeja or Akshar, whoever is fit. If Jadeja is fit, he'll be there,
So
or
shouldn't it
Akshar.
be
Your 8.
Chahal? Shouldn't it be Chahal / Kuldeep or Chahar, depending on how they fared in the IPL and stuff? Because we don't have a wrist spinner
So I
like
mean,
you said, Sundar.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. India can have 2 proper pacers, which would be Bumrah and Arshdeep, in my opinion, plus Hardik, and then your 3 other bowling options can be Jadeja, Sundar, and your wrist spinner. I mean, my pecking order would be Chahal, then Bishnoi, and then maybe then Daylight, and then Kuldeep or whoever
But
it
are
is.
we taking it for granted that Hardik's going to bowl 10 overs every game?
No, he didn't have to. No, you have 6 bowlers. That's why. I mean, he just have
Okay.
to bowl whatever 5, 6. Him and Sundar can sort of divide those overs, or him, Sundar, and Jadeja can bowl 20 overs between the 3 of them. What this also does is you have 2 lefties at 7 and 8 who are not really 7 and 8. They can bat high up the order. So you don't really have to play Pant for the sake of picking a lefty or a Dhawan just because you need a lefty. You can actually be flexible. No? Sundar can easily be promoted anywhere. If you ever feel like there's a team which is good with a left arm spinner or a good leggy or whatnot. So I actually like this 11 where you have Jadeja and Sundar at 7-8, and then either a proper pacer or a Chahal at 9, and then Bumrah and Arshdeep to follow.
Okay. Sure. What do you want to say?
It's not a cricketing point, but you guys must remember that in Hindu mythology, whenever we see Lord Krishna or Lord Ram, उनके सर पे एक चक्र घूम रहा होता है. So if Somesh shifts little to his right, the fan above him would just look like that.
And even if I shift a little bit to my left, I think the Buddha, the calm, the Zen that I have,
Yeah.
which
Go
is quite ridiculous.
completely in contrast with you, actually.
Yeah, which Shub went on to say pre-show is that Amir Wale Log background, which whatever you guys have to say about that. Right, look, at the end of the day, we've had some terrific fun and conversations. I want to pick the 11s right now. I know it's a while away, but we'll probably look at this video just before the World Cup starts to see how much we got right and how much of egg we had to peel off
Yeah,
our face.
let me tell you one thing. Whatever we have discussed right now, things might look completely different when the World Cup comes closer.
Oh, yeah.
So I think this is just the current assessment given the current circumstances. But yeah, hopefully things fall in place as the World Cup comes close.
Okay. We'll also take a lot of questions which we've not taken so far, and we apologize for that because we've just been addressing all these 5 big points that we've spoken about. So let's, of course, with the World Cup lens, Som, if you have to be a brave man and pick your 11 right now, who would it be? And you can go first, and then let's see if Shub concurs.
Okay.
And you
My
can be
11
brave.
would be
Basically,
Rohit
you picking as a selector, you don't have to give up about any other opinions. You pick it as
Somesh, one example of bravery, I said that Virat Kohli should not be picked for the T20 World Cup, so do something like
Gill. Okay. So my 11 would be Rohit Gill to open. Then Kohli, Shreyas Iyer at 3-4. KL would be my wicketkeeper at 5. Hardik at 6, but I mean not this batting order. 7-8 Jadeja Sundar. 9 Chahal, Bumrah Arshdeep.
So basically, you've gone back
to fit in
6 right-handers, lad.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying that Jadeja and Sundar, any of them can be promoted to sort of whenever needed, right? Whenever India feel like they are in a fix
But
because
you can't
of
have whom.
all these
They're not
right-handers.
promote any of them, dude. You know that's true.
I mean, then that's their loss. I mean, then there's no. I mean, if they're not going to promote Sundar, then no point picking him.
Would you still pick Gill if he has a shit IPL?
Yeah, I mean, it's irrelevant.
I mean,
different sport.
If he is doing well in ODI cricket in the meantime, then I don't think a bad IPL should have any effect on his chances for the World Cup.
Yeah, especially in this format. Okay, sure. What about you? What's your 11? And how much do you agree or disagree with your?
Pretty much similar to Somesh again.
You guys,
अरे सुनो तो सही भाई, बोलने तो दो यार. See, if you think that Somesh and me say the same thing every time, just check the spelling of our surnames. We go by different Agrawals. He has single G, I have double G. So I mean that is the biggest contradiction. अब वहाँ agree नहीं हुआ तो I mean all this is just a coincidence. I think I go with what Sumesh said simply because my only concern is no lefty in the middle. But then if you have Shreyas Iyer, who actually himself is such a good player of all type of spin bowling, and a lefty's job, if you are trying to shoehorn a lefty in the middle order, his job is to counter the spin matchups, right? But if you have someone like Shreyas Iyer who can do that in any case, being a right-hander himself, Gill himself is a good player of spin. So, I mean, it actually solves the purpose. You don't need to put Rishabh Pant in. But having said that, I really, really hope Rishabh Pant makes a spot for himself. He just, unlocks his potential. We see what he can do, what he's capable of, why the team management had been showing so much trust on him. So yeah, I would like to see Pant, but currently he just does not fit the bill.
Okay, interesting. We will take some questions right now. I mean, I'll also have my fair share of kind of giving you guys my 11 because it's an absolutely ridiculous one. I know it's never going to happen in a million years, but this is what I feel. You guys can let me know if I'm absolutely talking out of my backside. I think Rishabh Pant should open with Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli 3. I would have Shreyas Iyer at 4, Sanju Samson at 5. Sorry, KL, love you, but time to go. 6 Jadeja, 6 Hardik Pandya, 7 Jadeja, 8 Sundar. Then it becomes a showdown between Deepak Chahar, Bumrah, and then Arshdeep. So I'm leaving Chahal out, I'm leaving KL out, and I'm leaving pretty much Dhawan out and everyone
भाई
else.
तुमने केएल का
Actually, Pant opening is not a bad option, but
yeah, not
a
bad
keep on
option. I wanted to say
saying
that as
this,
well,
but then
In this format, you think that's fine?
but I mean,
Pant, opener?
in any, I mean, not any. I mean,
Test
T20
yeah.
and ODI, it's fine. See, I think this IPL is going to be very decisive for Pant, the opener, because he is the captain of Delhi Capital, so he should be able to persuade Ponting that I want to open. I mean, we should give some credit to Pant. He has been very non-selfish that way because every other captain wants to open, right?
Yeah.
He's the
KL
only
being the
captain.
biggest
He and
example.
Samson. I mean, every captain apart from MS Dhoni, because MS Dhoni knows कि भाई
No, but to be fair to Pant
Samson,
and Samson, they can't open because their respective IPL franchisees have sensational opens. How can you get past Warner and Shaw, or for that matter, Butler? And
it doesn't matter, Avnish. I mean, see, if Josh Butler was not an opener, he was made an opener. So if someone wants to open, see, this is the point that we're making about KL, right? I mean, KL has been so successful at number 5, but whenever he's made the captain of this Indian team in ODIs, which has been very often lately, he promotes himself to an opener and then just, to lack of a better word, sucks as an opener. And what's the point? I mean, you need to have that long-term vision, right? And this is where, I mean, if Rishabh Pant wanted to open as a captain, I don't think the man would.
No, absolutely. Sorry, I think Soam's got a call or something like that. I don't know. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. That's what they say.
But yeah, I also wanted to say that Pant can open, and if Pant gets into the side somehow, as I said, I wish that he comes into the side. Then I think opening is a very good spot for him. But for that, he will have to outperform Shubman Gill somehow, and I don't know how. That is a big task, to be honest, right now.
That is a big thing. Right. We'll wait for Soam to come back. But meanwhile, Shub, you and me will, of course, just address the guys in the comments below because there have been quite a few happening. Ruben Loganathan going on to say, India must seriously have a complete mind change on how they play white ball cricket if they want to challenge the other top teams in the world. 2 ways to do it. And he suggests, 1, pick the most talented players. And 2, pick the most suitable coach for white ball formats, as Dravid has been found out to be too conservative in picking players and tactics. If no serious change is done, the gap will be bigger. Now, Ruben, I don't know if you know Shub and me really well and you watch the watch-alongs. We're big Dravid fans, but we agree with you to a certain sense. Shub, how would you approach this? And how would you tackle a question that Ruben has posed?
Well, first of all, I think Dravid has been really, really unfortunate as a coach, first of all. Just to clarify that, I think I can go on a rant for 1 hour, so I won't go into that stuff. But I think, yeah, Rahul Dravid had been very unfortunate when it comes to India's white ball cricket coaching career of his. Now, रही बात उस चीज की कि we will need to change our batting approach. I think we have already discussed that. Somesh already mentioned that there is a need to change your philosophy. You need to have a fixed philosophy first of all, that how you want to play your cricket. India kept talking about that कि हमें तेज खेलना है, we should take more risks, blah blah blah. But when the occasion came, they actually went back into that conservative mode. So first of all, you need to just tell yourself that okay, we need to play attacking cricket and support that ideology by taking risks first of all. And and the other thing is India need to stop picking players based on reputation. That is the only reason why Dhawan and Rohit Sharma are currently they are supposed to open in the World Cup, which I don't think will be a successful opening player for India right now. So yeah, I agree to some points about picking good players and changing your approach, but I don't agree that Rahul Dravid is not suitable as a white ball coach.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And we're not just being Dravid boy fans. I think Shub's hit the nail on the head right now. If the biggest thing needs to change in Indian cricket, it's 2 things essentially. 1, what he said, don't pick players based on reputation, because that's just been a really stupid style to kind of go about their business in any format. And the second one, I think, essentially it comes down to literally understanding what's our modus operandi going to be. Do we need to
And
change it? Like how England have defined the style, right? So once
exactly,
we,
England is what I was about to say. England had done exactly that. You hear the interview of English players, they will keep saying that even when we failed and Morgan backed us. Last a few months ago, when England lost the first or the second test to South Africa, they were bowled out for 115 both the innings. Brendan McCullum was asked that, "Are you going to go back to that conservative approach?" But McCullum said, "No, I think my boys did not play hard enough. They did not bat hard enough." So I mean that just shows you need to have that belief that whatever you are doing is right, and you need to do that in spite of the conditions or anything else. Even if
Hmm.
you fail, you fail, but at least वो जो कहते हैं ना that you can keep your head high. So just that thing.
That is true. Right, we'll wrap up right now because it's just gone over 1 hour in terms of this podcast, but we thoroughly enjoyed it. And we'll just get Som back on to have his final say and address the last couple of comments right now. I think Sridhar Deshpande going on to say India should be playing with Dhawan, KL Gill as a replacement, Rohit, VK, Samson, Sky, Hardik, Jadeja, Washington. There's also a comment from Sanjay Bharti who goes on to say Dhawan cannot open with Rohit. Also, Gill played well given his chances, but Rohit also needs to take time well as Gill, so we need some more not playing dot balls in the first over. So basically, don't put pressure on Rohit. Farsi going on to agree with Som in the sense, yes, Gill to open, and there's been plenty more. Final words from you, gents, because like I said, Bangladesh starts tomorrow. We look back at this video in time, and we might all sound idiots. But at the end of the day, it comes back to that question that me and Shub just spoke about. So India need to change their method in terms of not picking players based on reputation, and more importantly, define a bloody template in ODIs, in T20s, in tests like how England have, and we're seeing how they're reaping the rewards, right?
I think it just comes down to two things. First is the template for sure. Second is not overthink. Do not think that you have a pool of 25 players to pick from. Have a pool of 15, 16 players. Just look at replacements, that this is our first choice player. We'll give him 6, 7, 8 ODIs. If it doesn't work out, here is our replacement. India cannot be overthinking by playing 25 players in the next 15 ODIs and then come the World Cup, you are just going back to the OGs. India have to, if India really want to go with the OGs, they have to keep playing those OGs for 15 games or at least 10 of those 15 games and then pick on merit.
Yeah. I mean, Shub, does it come down to that? The fact that basically make your strongest 11 on paper, like how we all did, and then makes basically replacements for all those players, essentially giving those 11/22 players a chance to thrive in this format before the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that is all I can say. You just explained it right. There, you need to have a pool of, if not 15, 16, at best 18, where you have your best player for every position, and then their potential replacements, and just in case of injury and stuff, and back those players throughout the year and for the World Cup as well. And yeah, that is it. That is the best you can do. Results may come or they may not, but at least your approach will be right.
With that being said, thank you so much, gentlemen, for making your presence felt on this Saturday evening. I know the traction's been all right, but I'll pick up course during the weekend. There's plenty of content like we always do on cricket.com. There is going to be a watch along for that first one international between Bangladesh and India. Join the boys then. You can join me then as well. It's been thoroughly entertaining to pick the mind of these two. We'll leave it there and we'll see you guys soon. So goodbye from me, Abhish Hegde, and Somesh as well as Shub.